And hi again, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of On the Town with Suz and Doug. And we'll give us our famous Suz wave right there. She is Suz, I'm Doug. And again, continuing our series of looking back at some of our favorite
Yeah,
shows and movies and entertainment over the years. Today, we're going to go back into the world of soap operas, right, Suz?
absolutely. Yes, I was actually a big fan of a few of them, but the two that I'm really thinking of, one is As the World Turns, and the other one, The Guiding Light.
Yeah, these are two that I watched as a kid in the summertime. My mom and her friends would watch them. In New York, I guess same with you in Philadelphia or even North Carolina, wherever you were out watching. It came on 1:30
One,
as the world turns. It used to be a half an hour show, I remember as a
wow,
kid, and
yeah.
back to back with Guiding Light. So those are the two I'd watch in the summertime.
They were really good, and what I liked, especially about both of these soap operas is how the characters, like with the families, like
Right.
I know, uh, on, The Guiding Light, you had, it seems like you had,
The
like
Bauer
no
family, wasn't it?
yes, yeah, yeah, it was like Mike, yeah, Bauer, was it the
Bauer
Bauer?
family.
And then Ed, the other brother who was the doctor,
Right, Ed, right?
Mike's daughter, oh, I liked her, Hope, his daughter Hope,
Hope, right?
and then the Alan Spaulding,
He was the
uh,
villain, or one of the villains.
right, yeah, it was really, and then in later years, I
What was
really
the
liked,
mother's name? She was on there for years.
oh, Bert, was it
Bert Bauer,
Bert?
right? Because that
Oh,
was one of the soap operas that was on radio before it went to TV. It's one of the longest running of all time. I
oh,
believe she was on the radio version, and then they brought her to the TV, and she was on that for 30, 40 years. Yeah.
oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
Bert
yeah,
Bauer. She was like the matriarch of
yes,
the Bauer
oh,
family.
oh my gosh,
Where did they live? They lived in, was it Springfield?
Springfield, was it Illinois?
Did they ever say
Springfield?
what state it was? Was it Illinois? Somewhere in the Midwest, I guess.
Yeah, I think it was Illinois. I'm guessing. Yeah, I think it was Illinois. And
Uh,
another thing that's interesting is I always tended to watch the CBS soap operas. I think I might have watched One Life to Live for a
right.
little ABC when I got older. But I always liked the CBS
The same in
soap
our
opera.
family. Again, this was like the '70s when you were a kid, and in the summertime,
Yeah.
you had lunch, and mom would always watch it. So you get there and watch, and you get hooked on them as a kid.
Oh, they're really, I mean, they are good. Oh my
And when it
gosh.
was a half an hour, it tended to move quicker.
Yeah, it actually did. As the world turns, because I'm trying to think with Roger Thorpe.
So he was
It,
on Guiding Light. He was the real rotten villain too, after Alan Spaulding, or at least
uh,
maybe at the same time. But he was the really bad guy. That actor who played him was really good.
he was really good. I remember being like in
Michael
elementary.
Michael Zaslow, I think was his name. Yeah, he was very
Uh,
kind of known just for that show. He was on some other TV shows. I saw later on he was on Star Trek. He was on an episode of Star Trek and did
gosh,
other
yeah.
things like the crime shows. But boy, he was known as being Roger Thorpe and the worst guy ever.
Yeah, he was like, and he looked kind of spooky
He had
too.
a sinister look. Yeah, yeah.
And it seems like there was one girl, Holly.
Holly, right?
Somehow I remember, and Roger
Wasn't she
Thorpe,
married? Was she married to Ed?
I think so. It seems like she
Am
was
I
married.
forgetting? I may not remember clearly. Or was Hope married to Ed?
Ah, that's a great. My brain.
Yeah, we're
I
talking a long time ago, folks. So these were on these
yes,
characters. So
yeah. I'm
not
I'm
quite.
thinking
But I just remember Ed was the doctor, Mike was a lawyer.
lawyer. And then
There's a lot of
I know
hospital and a lot of law stuff, going
I
on,
know
drama there.
Hope was Mike's daughter, and it seems like he just had one daughter,
Yeah,
uh, Mike, and I don't know who the mom was. Who My mom had said that Mike had been married like in the early 60s or something,
right.
and they had Hope.
Oh,
And
okay. So Hope was the daughter then. All right,
Hope
yeah.
was, and then I don't know if she died. His wife,
Holly might have been the wife of Ed then. I seem to remember a
yeah,
character named Holly that was married to Ed. Yeah.
yeah,
Ed
married to.
was a good guy. And Mike they were good guys.
They were good guys, yeah.
But
And Mike
Roger
was
and Alan Spaulding were the bad guys. I remember that.
bad
And
guys.
remember Rita? Remember Rita?
Yeah, Rita was. She
She was
was
a
a nurse.
nurse. And
She
then
was.
Ed and Rita got together somewhere along the line. That was like a big romance. I remember that.
Yes, that was really. Yeah, I remember that, and I remember. Then they had this family from Oklahoma. What was that? There was a girl. Oh, they had that. They were like high school. This was like more in the 80s. They
Oh,
started.
okay. Yeah, I didn't
Uh,
watch it in the 80s anymore.
yeah, it was Heather, or it was Alan Spaulding's son that was like a teenager, like it got to be more like a high school, like for kids after school. And so they started
Right.
getting the high school. And
I know in
that's
the
when,
summer times they would always kind of bring in a bunch of young people because they knew young people were
yeah,
out from school and they'd want the teenagers to watch. Remember that in the
yeah,
summertime, the storylines would get different. And then once school started again, all those young people would leave.
yeah. And I'll be honest, my mom did not like, remember Nola and Mr. McCord?
Oh yeah, right.
She didn't like that. She said it
No,
was like
the real
dark.
traditional watchers, they didn't like that. They were usually older,
She
housewives, older
thought it
women,
was like,
moms.
yeah, she
They
said
liked
it
the traditional stories. They didn't like these young whippersnappers coming in and ruining it.
said it was like a Dark Shadows kind of thing. Remember
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was Thornfield Manor. And then I still remember this. Mr. McCord was like this wealthy man with his English maid who moved to Springfield. And it was kind of a creepy house that he moved at, like this old house, like a
Right.
mansion. Yes, he was from a wealthy, he was an archaeologist. I think Mr.
Well, they
McCord.
did that on As the World Turns too. Remember Duncan, the character,
Okay.
was a Scottish guy, and somehow he had his whole castle transported to Oakdale, Illinois, which made no sense. And then they did all this kind of gothic storyline with his castle, and it made
That's
no
weird.
sense.
So it's kind of like almost like they rebuilt his Scottish
Yeah,
castle.
they did in Oakdale, Illinois. Why would you do that? Bring a castle to Oakdale, Illinois from, but that was the same storyline. I remember with Duncan. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. And somehow that name, yeah, because that name Duncan, it
This is
rings
like,
a
I
bell.
guess, the early 80s when I was in college. I guess I watched it then.
And they did
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it seems like in the summer. Yeah, they did
Oh,
that.
Shannon. Shannon was the girlfriend, his girlfriend, and
I
somehow she wandered into this castle, and then they got together. But it was kind of a weird storyline, and
like a weird, and he was kind of weird, I think,
you didn't
like
know at the
God.
beginning if he was good or not or bad. He kind of became a good guy, but you didn't know for a while.
He
Yeah.
was Mr. McCord. It was kind of weird too, because I remember, like, remember you had that English woman that was like the, I don't know, she was a housekeeper,
Right.
Miss, Mrs. It was an English name. Now I can't remember her name, but she was like the housekeeper. And Nola moved in,
Right.
and I think she was pregnant or something. She was,
Sure she
I don't
was
know.
sometime on that show.
Yeah, yeah, and her mom had a boarding house. I remember that, and her brother. Yeah, and it was a large family. I think they were an Irish family or so,
Yeah.
and no Reardon, Noah
Oh yeah,
Reardon,
I remember that name.
and
Yeah.
and then Mr. McCord. I always called him Mr. McCord. I don't Quentin. I guess his name was Quentin, the guy, and then he uh was an archaeologist, and Nola used to kind of snoop around his house, and then she found this coffin with a skeleton, and she
Yeah.
screamed, I think. And then I think what it was, he was an archaeologist or something, and it
Oh,
was
okay.
almost like a My
I
Fair
guess I
Lady.
wasn't watching it when that was on.
Yeah, it was
I,
kind of, it was,
I,
and then
I,
they had these two Dobermans, Damien and Lucifer,
oh
and you would
no.
hear, now my mom said this show is, I don't
A
like
lot of
this.
them they would go to those gothic storyline. As the World Turns did the same thing, other than the castle thing. They did that for a while. They usually do that in the summer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
it
like
wasn't that.
this.
I think it turned a lot of people off. They didn't like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the goth. Yeah, it's like they went into this dark
They
shadows
figured
thing.
young people would like that, but I don't know. I don't think that went. Yeah. As the world turns, getting back to that one, that was a family, two families too. It was the Hughes family
Yeah, the
and the
Hughes.
Stewart family. And the Hughes, Bob Hughes was a doctor,
Yeah,
and the Stewart family a doctor, and then I think one of the Hughes sons was a lawyer. So they had the doctor lawyer thing going on. They were in Oakdale, Illinois. Yeah.
it's interesting. It seems like it's always lawyers and doctors on.
Yeah, well, you can create got a lot of drama with the hospital stuff, and then the lawyer
Yeah, the,
they would have a trial every once in a while, so the lawyers would have a storyline.
it was interesting. Yeah, because I think on the Guiding Light, Mike was the district attorney.
Was he district?
I
I know he's a lawyer, but they'd always do a trial story. Once a
yeah,
year, you get a good that they can stretch that out for weeks of trial.
and he was pretty good. Yeah, he was supposed to be a pretty good. And then
Yeah,
Hope he adored,
yeah.
and Mike did not like Alan Spaulding.
No, he was
And when
he
she
was a
was
creep.
he was very upset. He was real. What was
Yeah.
he? Was he some kind of a crook or something?
He was some kind of like shady businessman, wasn't he?
I don't
Yeah.
know how Hope got involved.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Like
remember.
charming, to the women, I guess at first, they fall for it, but he was shady. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. And they so Hope and Alan Spaulding, I remember that they got married and they went to the Bahamas or something. Somehow I remember scuba diving or something. I
Oh
don't.
yeah.
They were and
Well,
it was it.
Roger Thorpe was another one. They'd kill him off every once in a while, and you think, oh, he's out of the show, and then he'd show up again like a few months later. They couldn't kill him off. They did
It
that
was
in As the World Turns too. Remember James Stenbeck? He was like
yeah.
Roger Thorpe of that one, the villain. They'd kill him off, and then like a year later, he'd come back
He'd come back. Oh my God.
somehow. Oh, he wasn't actually shot. Or one time he fell out of an airplane without a parachute. They thought, oh, that's the end. No, somehow he landed in a tree, survived. They did
It's
that
just
several
so
times.
crazy. Yeah, it's so weird how they
But he
do
was the
this
great
stuff.
villain on that with remember Barbara Ryan? I don't know if you watched that show
Yeah.
when that was going on. She was like, fell for him, and then he was mad. They got married, and he was like really evil to her. So yeah,
Oh my God. Yeah, it was
James
really.
Sten, yeah,
I
the actor
remember
who
like
played him was really good too. Yeah.
these yeah, my mom often said like with Roger Thorpe that whoever he was really yeah, because you would really think he's a yeah, I mean a bit they really put
I mean, you knew it was acting, but you believed that he really created like a hatred for people that
yeah.
watched it.
It was actually even better than I mean, I loved Larry Hagman on Dallas, but it was actually
You liked Larry Hagman now because
yeah,
he was a
it was
likable
funny.
guy, even when he did stuff that was bad. Roger Thorpe was not a likable character. Neither was James Stenbeck. Yeah, you like watching the actor portray it, but he wasn't likable.
He's scared. Actually, you didn't want to see him around. Yeah,
Now
you did.
that's why they got rid of him every once in a while because people will probably get fed up with it. You got to give the audience a break.
Yeah, with all this and
Yeah.
yeah, it was. But I did. I really liked. I especially liked Nola and Mr.
She,
McCord.
she wound up on As the World Turns after she left Guiding Light. It was the same company.
Oh
She
my God.
became, she lived on the farm. Remember, there was a farm. They
Okay.
lived out with Holden and I forget the other people,
Oh wow.
Lily. And I think she was like a long lost cousin or something. I think her name was Ivy. I might be wrong about
I
that.
okay on.
I
Oh my.
think, I'm not sure, but she wound up on that show for a while after Guiding Light.
Oh my
She was a
gosh.
Broadway actress. She did musicals. She was a singer and a dancer. Yeah.
That is so interesting.
And a
Yeah.
lot of these people you didn't realize they were on Broadway like at night when they're doing the soap operas. A lot of them were theater
Oh,
actors, well known in New York for that. Yeah.
so they were. I wonder where in New York they had the studios for these.
Yeah,
If it was
Manhattan somewhere, I think. Yeah.
wow, and they did the acting.
But most of the
It,
soap operas then were done in New York. A few in L.A., but most of them were New York. So a lot of them were
the,
like theater act. That's why the acting was pretty good. They were actually trained theater actors. Yeah. They
they
weren't like
said.
models. Later
Oh,
on, they hired a lot of people that looked good or were models, and the acting kind of fell apart, don't you think?
yeah, it was like I remember that one, The Bold and the Beautiful.
Yeah.
It got a
They
little,
hired a bunch of good-looking people, but they couldn't act, but they didn't care.
yeah, it was kind of like, yeah, you were. I remember my mom used to like that one, The Bold and the Beautiful, but it was kind of, and then she used to like The Young and the Restless.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Nikki, Nikki was this very pretty blonde
right.
lady, and she was like a dancer, like in the early set. And then she went with this English guy that was on there. Oh gosh, I can't remember. It's another one of these weird kind of like not really goth, it's sort of gothic. It was
Yeah.
on he was an English guy. He was on there for years and now I can't think of his name. It wasn't Spence, Victor.
Oh,
Victor,
Victor?
Victor.
Well, there's
He
one
was.
guy that is a German guy that's been on one of those soap operas for like 40, 50 years.
Oh my
Eric
gosh.
Braeden. He did a
Okay.
lot of TV shows too. Is that the guy you mean? It was a German? He's a German
Uh,
guy.
he was supposed to be like English.
Oh,
This
okay.
guy,
Maybe I'm thinking of maybe he's on Young and the Restless.
maybe,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's been on one of them for like 40, 50 years, since it began. Yeah.
It's incredible. Yeah,
Well, going back as the world turns too, they had Lisa and Bob. Remember they were on like going back to the
oh, they
50s.
were good. Oh, I forgot about Lisa. She was good.
So
Lisa.
yeah, he was really good.
Oh my
And then
gosh.
Bob, he was on for years, and Nancy and Chris were like the
Uh,
first,
uh, they were so good. My
matriarch and
mom.
patriarch of the family, the mom and pop. They were on for. And Dr. John Dixon, remember him? He was kind of a villain doctor, if you remember him.
Oh
This
yeah,
goes back to the 70s now.
yeah, Doctor John Dixon. He was like,
He was a
yeah,
really good doctor, but he was kind of a, conniver, but
kind of,
likable. Kind of like JR. You liked him.
yeah,
JR.
kind of an evil guy that you could, but he was a good
But he
doctor.
was a
Yeah.
really good doctor, so you had to like him. And then who was the other one? Then they did a
Oh,
lot of business stuff. They had a woman on. I forget her name now, but she
oh
was
yeah.
kind of like,
Uh,
what was her name?
oh gosh.
Older woman. She was Lily's mother.
Okay. Oh, I know.
I
Whose
forget her
name?
name. Anyway, she was like kind of like a wheeler dealer, businesswoman. She was kind of
Yeah.
like a JR. Yeah.
Yeah. It
Somebody
was
remind us
really.
in the chat when we, in the comments when we post this. But she was really
Uh,
good.
well, you know what? There's so many times. I wonder if there's any way you can watch any of these soap operas.
A lot of the episodes are on YouTube. If you type in I don't know where they get them from. People must have saved them.
Oh,
And
okay.
Lucinda, that was her name.
Lucinda. Okay. Okay.
She was like a wheeler dealer businesswoman. She was kind of conniving. She was Lily's
Okay.
mother. She was a character that was on for
Wow.
years. Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah, I'm trying to yeah, because I'm trying to think with yeah, like the guiding light to I remember with Alan Spaulding, there was a woman in the office who worked with him
Yeah.
and she liked Alan. And I remember she was very upset when Hope came onto the scene. I think I just remembered Hope was an interior designer.
Oh, okay.
Alan was redoing his office, and that's how she met him.
Oh, that's how she met him.
I
Yeah.
That's how, and then, she was very pretty. Yeah, my mom said she felt, and I'll be honest, this is actually not any, because Hope was beautiful, and
Yeah. I remember her.
I named my dog Hope.
Oh,
I
people have seen
fell in
Hope.
love
You've
with,
held her up. Yeah. Hope.
I fell in
You can hold
love
her
with
up now if
that.
you want. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be honest,
Unless she's sleeping, don't bother. But yeah.
well, I fell in love with that name because of Hope Bauer.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it's a pretty name. My mom liked that name too. It's very pretty. But let me see. Little Hope. Can I?
Oh, if she's right there, yeah. People liked it last time you brought her on.
Let's see. She's sleeping. I don't
Oh,
know
we'll
if.
don't wake her up then. We'll get her next time when she's awake.
Okay.
Otherwise,
There
she'll
she
start to
is.
bark.
She's looking at me. There she is. I don't know if you all can see her.
Yeah,
Uh,
lower it a little bit. Lower it down. Can you lower it more? You can't see her yet.
okay, now she's coming over.
Oh, she's coming over now. Oh, there she is.
There she
There she
is.
is. See her eyes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, look at that. Aw, that's Miss Hope. That's who I named my dog after. Hope Bauer.
I wonder if
My
that
mom,
actress is,
I
if she's still with us. I hope maybe she'll tune in and find out. She's being honored.
I know, and her name, actually my dog's official name is Hope Charlotte Burns. So her
Now the
middle name.
Charlotte is, who's the Charlotte?
Right.
Oh,
I
for
used to,
Charlotte, North Carolina.
I
Yeah.
used to live in Charlotte, and I was going to call her Charlotte, but then I love the name Hope. I just have this. I just
It's a
think
great
it's
name.
pretty.
It's a great character name. Yeah.
But you know what? My mom thought it was pretty because it's nice for someone young, and it's nice for, and it's easy to
Yeah.
say. And
Hope is
you
good.
spell.
We all need hope.
Yeah,
Hope and faith.
and it's like a very it's kind of a spiritual name too,
Yeah.
but
Hope and
it's
faith.
very feminine. Yeah, and my dad liked it because it's easy to spell. Say it's a nice name. So
Yeah.
I just said I'm gonna name her Hope. So it's like
Now, I
yeah,
did think the soap operas lost something when they both went to an hour. Remember when they went to an
yeah,
hour somewhere? I guess it was, I don't know when it was, early 80s maybe, or maybe before. I think it kind of lost something. Plus, it
yeah,
took up more of your afternoon if you were watching them. But I like
yeah,
the half hour better. But
yeah.
they all
I
went to an hour. Pretty much all of them went to an hour.
Yeah, they all and I don't know why that happened. It was strange. They were doing the half hour
Yeah, they
and
figured they get more advertising. People would watch the hour. I guess some of them it worked that
yeah,
way, but the half hour to me was a lot better. There's fewer
yeah,
characters you had to remember, and the stories moved a little bit faster.
yeah. And you know what? It's that old that like sometimes less is more
Less is more.
too.
Definitely the soap
Yeah.
operas. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because yeah, it's like because then it just leaves you wanting more.
Yeah,
Sometimes
they
we
were famous for the cliffhangers, particularly on Friday afternoons. Was like better episodes because the last 10 minutes they would do a nice cliffhanger for the weekend, so
I
you'd come back
loved it.
Monday.
They were so good.
Yeah.
I love I wonder if they have soap operas on.
I think there's only four left. I think one, Young and the Restless is one. I think Bold and Beautiful. I think there's one on NBC, and General Hospital maybe still on. I think there's only four.
Wow. You know,
But
I and
As the World Turns and Guiding Light went off about, what, 12, 14 years ago. I watched the last As the World Turns, live when they did it. I happened to be
oh,
home that day just to see it. And it's kind of sad when they go off the air. You almost feel like, it's part of your
end of it.
family in a way. I mean, it's not real, but you feel that way when a soap opera goes off.
Yeah, it's gosh, that's on. My mom loved that. Yeah, the
It is
as
good. I mean, well done. They were well done. They were good at entertainment. Some of
it
them
really.
got a little crazy, and then but I think back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, I think that was the heyday of them. You know,
I think you're absolutely right. Oh, you know, and then on the guiding light, there was another lady, Vanessa. Remember that
I
lady
remember
with
that. Yeah, that's right. I remember the name. Yeah,
she was pretty, and
right.
then her dad was this wealthy guy, and
Yeah,
she used to call him Daddy.
I
Remember she
remember
was
that name now. Yeah, there's so many storylines that brings back memories now, bits and pieces. But
yes, and she said
but I think
Daddy.
most people probably would agree. Those were the two top ones for many years. Guiding Light and As the World Turns. Some people would probably say General Hospital. Young and the Restless, but to me, those were the two best that I remember seeing. I think same with you, or
I think the same with me. I think that I'm trying to think. I would say
I know
I
you
love.
watched a little bit of Dark Shadows. I saw a few episodes of that when it was on as a kid. It wasn't on
Did
that
you
long,
did
maybe
you
five,
like
six
it?
years. I only
Okay.
watched because a friend of mine invited us over to watch it, and I think we watched, a couple
Yeah.
episodes. It was on later. It was like a 3:30 or 4. I think it was on like 4 o'clock or something in New York.
Yeah.
So
I
kids would watch it when they came home from school.
it was like probably more yeah, I don't think my mom got into that one either. She didn't
Oh,
like.
Edge of Night was another one my mother would watch once in a
Oh,
while.
yeah, my
That one?
mom loved that one.
That was
Yeah.
kind of like a crime, a lot of crime stories in that one, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, that one was like okay. I think my two favorite I liked As the World Turns, and I loved Guiding Light. I just somehow I like, and I liked it how you had like As the World Turns, Guiding Light, The Edge of Night, and then there was this other one. I think it was called Secret Storm.
Secret Storm. Yeah.
That was
I
good.
never saw it, but that was another one. What was the other
That
one? The Days of Our Lives was a big one on NBC. That was on for
Yeah,
years.
that's the one I used to watch. I watched that for a while, I think when I was
Yeah,
in high school, and they had a family because of the Dallas thing. They had
right.
this Asa Buchanan.
Oh,
He
did
was
they? I never saw enough to know that one, but
Yeah, he was kind of like the JR of, and then they had like this Texas family. Yeah, it was.
yeah. Then they had some short-lived ones on, like Loving and
Oh yeah,
Somerset, and some that didn't last too long.
yeah. I remember Somerset and
Doctors was another one. I remember that as a kid. The Doctors. That was
the
on for.
doctors. Yeah, they had. I'm trying to think. Yeah, the
Yeah, one
doctor.
time there was like 20 or 25 soap operas on TV, but
It
now
was
it's down
incredible.
to four. Yeah.
I wonder what happened.
All My Children. That's the one that I never saw that, but that was another big one. People like that. Suzanne Lucci was in that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know what it was with the ABC soap operas.
Yeah, I
I
never
don't.
saw. I just remember her about Susan Lucci was the big, because she was from Long Island, where I grew up. She was
Oh
the
my
people.
gosh, yeah, she
And
was
then they
like,
made a big deal that she never won an Emmy until she finally did after like 18 tries or something. So that was the thing with her. But she was good. She was all right.
she was good. The only one I watched on ABC was One Life to Live.
Oh yeah, One Life to Live, right?
And I think I got started on that when I was, I think, a junior in high school or something.
Yeah.
But I always liked The Guiding Light. I think that was one of my
Yeah, I'd
favorite.
say As the World Turns number one, and then usually if it's like a rainy day or so, or you're on summer vacation, you'd watch the second one.
Yeah,
So Guiding Light was like secondary, but if I only picked one to watch, it was always As the World Turns.
that was
Then you
good.
go outside and play or whatever we did.
My mom loved. Yeah, The Edge of Night. I don't know that.
That came on at 3:30 in New York, so it was like a rainy day or a crummy day. My mother would have it on, but if it was a crummy day, I might watch that one.
I was trying to remember. Yeah, that it seems like that wasn't too much with hospitals. You're right. That
That
was
was a
more.
heavy crime. It was like like the Syndicate, which is another word for the mafia. They're those kind of stories.
It
Crime.
was kind of scary sometimes. Yeah, I was kind of like, ooh, yeah. This is. I'll have to look that up. So yeah, because the song was. Yeah,
It
it
was
was a
kind of
little.
sinister. Yeah, it was like supposed to be, I think, San Francisco or something, or some city, but that's
Yeah,
what it was. A lot of
it was.
crime and stories. Yeah.
Somehow my mom didn't. She had it on, but I don't think she was. She loved As the World Turns.
Yeah, that was
I,
in New York. It was 1:30. Then when they went to an hour, it was 2 o'clock. I remember that.
and then Secret Storm, I kind of liked that one, and I'm trying to remember what it was about, but that
Yeah, I
was
never saw that one. Yeah.
it was and then it went off the air. Like it was on, I think in the
Yeah, that
late
wasn't on that long. Yeah.
early 70s
Yeah.
or something like that.
As the World
I,
Turns and Guiding Light were on TV about what, 50 years or more.
wow. My mom said that her mother, my grandmother, liked as maybe it was on radio or something, but
Yeah, it started on radio, and then
she loved it.
yeah.
Yeah. I think dad's mom liked it too. She used to listen to those stories on the radio. I guess they had soap operas on the
Oh yeah,
radio.
that was big in radio, sure.
She
Yeah.
loved it. Yeah, it was good. But yeah, she said the Bowers on.
Bowers on Guiding Light, and the Hugheses and the Stewarts on As the World Turns.
You
One
know
one
what?
big name actress that came out of As the World Turns, I remember, was When Harry Met Sally, Meg Ryan.
Oh my
Remember
gosh.
her? She was on As the World Turns. She was Betsy.
Oh
And
my
she went right
gosh.
into the movies and became a huge star, like almost overnight.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. How long was she on Beth
Couple of
Shear?
years, I remember. I thought, Joe, this really kind of cute girl, a little blonde
Yeah.
girl. And
Oh
then
my.
she did like 2 years, and then the next thing you know, she's a huge star in movies. Yeah.
Do you remember what her first movie was, Meg Ryan? I
Yeah, I
was
think
trying.
she did one called The Presidio. It wasn't that popular. Then I think she got right into When Harry Met Sally.
She
I
was
think that might
very
have been a second or third movie. Yeah,
oh.
boom. Yeah, that I remember. I could be wrong, but it was almost right away that she became a huge movie star. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, she was so
Yeah.
and Sleepless in Seattle
Yeah,
was
she did all those romantic comedies, and so yeah.
that's a
Well, a few
class.
people came out of those soap operas that became big stars. Or
Yeah, I
well,
was trying to think. Uh, there was like Meg Ryan, and then
There was Dana Delaney was another one on the As the World Turns. She went into like China Beach and a bunch of TV shows. People
I
know what she was like.
I
Dana
remember
Delaney.
China. Now,
She-
was China Beach? That was about Vietnam or something.
Vietnam. She played a nurse in that, but she did a bunch of stuff, movies and stuff.
Wow.
Melissa, what was it? Tomei, Marissa Tomei. She was
Oh
on
my
As
God.
the World Turns. Yeah.
Oh, she was pretty.
A lot of women came out of that show that became movie.
My cousin Vinny. I
My
always
cousin
think of
Benny.
her.
Yeah, that might have been her first movie out of that. She
She
went
was
on.
pretty in that. Yeah, she was kind of. Yeah, she was kind of
And not too many
sass.
guys came out of that though that went into movies. Interesting. Yeah.
It was interesting. Like the guy that played Mr. McCord. I don't know what his real name was, but
Now,
he was like a Broadway actor
most of
too.
them were doing theater, and this helped them, be able to afford to do theater when you don't get much money.
Is that what? Maybe that's what it. Yeah, I
You
was
don't get a
trying.
lot of money unless you're the star, and those Broadway shows don't last too long. So you do a soap opera, you're better shape.
Oh my God! And you know what? Now I just thought of her name, the maid or the housekeeper at Mrs. Renfield.
Oh,
I
okay.
English, that woman that always looked. She was like,
Yeah, I'll have
yeah,
to look it up. I vaguely remember that
Mrs.
story.
Renfield. They said she was some kind of an English, London. Yeah, like the backgrounds of these people are
Yeah.
for acting. It's better than, yeah,
Yeah, they
really.
really have the whole training thing going there with
Yeah,
Royal
I mean,
Academy and all that stuff. And in America, you got to kind of do it, wherever you can. But over there, you can go to the Royal Academy. They train you how to do it right.
I
Theater.
I I often wondered, like with Larry Hagman, on Dallas, like he was a good
Yeah.
actor, but I don't know, did he really have formal
I don't
training?
know if he went to. He said he went to London for a while after he was in the Air
Okay.
Force. Did theater, but he worked with his mom. His mom was Mary Martin, and he did like theater with her. Whatever show she was in, he would be in that.
Was she like now? Was she a
She was
dancer?
like she was like a huge, like Carol Channing or Ethel Merman. She was that level. She was like one of the all
Okay.
time, back in
So
the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Yeah.
yeah, my dad said she was really talented.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
she was like she was Peter Pan on TV.
on
So
TV. Yeah, she was
uh,
really.
she was a big, huge Broadway. Yeah, huge Broadway.
Wow.
Yeah.
And yeah, and he was because he just created that part on Dallas, like
Yeah, I mean, he worked. He did a lot of stuff before he got the Genie show, and he said,
okay, like
but
bits and pieces. And
yeah.
it was interesting because I was reading up for some reason.
He
I
actually
was
was on a couple of soap operas. I think he might have been on
Yes, they said
Edge of
yeah.
Night or one of those. Now, it wasn't one of the two we just talked about, but it was on Edge of Night, I
It was like
think.
the 60s. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
early
had.
60s. Yeah.
I'd love to look that up again. Yeah, he was on soaps too.
Yeah, I think it was Edge of Night. He was on for a couple of years, he said. So,
Wow, the Edge of Night. Yeah, I'll have to look up the Edge of Night again. Yeah,
yeah.
somehow it was okay, but it wasn't like one that I
Yeah, it's not
really.
one we watched a lot, you know.
It
Maybe in
was
the
kind.
summer, like you said, it was a crummy day, and my mother might have it on while she was making
I'll be
dinner.
honest, it was always a soap opera. I wanted to get through so I could watch the Flintstones.
All
It
right.
was I didn't really like it, but I think because there was a lot of this mafia stuff on there and
It was
guns
all
and
mob-related storyline. They never used the word mafia. They said syndicate. That's what they did in TV back then. He said syndicate.
yeah, it was kind of like a Sopranos, but not as.
Yeah, very tame, but yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, they didn't have the violence. Like, yeah,
No.
it wasn't as well acted. As Sopranos, I know was a good show. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
you. That was very
Yeah, I
well.
didn't see it on HBO. I saw the DVDs later.
Oh wow, yeah,
Good.
to do.
Well, we can do that another. We better hang it up because we're over our
Oh,
usual time. We can keep talking
yeah,
for hours, but we want the audience to want to come back with us next week. So,
absolutely.
soap operas we grew up watching, our favorites were As the World Turns and Guiding Lights. So we got to give thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Let us know in the comments if any of you watched those shows back in the 70s and 80s.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
if you watch any now, I don't know if anybody watches soap operas anymore. Who watches them now?
Yeah. Who watches? We'd love to hear. Please let us know what you enjoy
Yeah,
watching.
yeah.
Yes.
But that'll do it for this edition. So we'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching,
Yeah.
everybody.
Bye.